welcome to another edition of Economy and Politics Show. I am Otto Abase Baseko. Today we'll be discussing an interesting topic, political parties and ideologies in Nigeria. Noting that we're in the election season in Nigeria, we need to understand the dynamics of politics as it has to do with ideologies of political parties in the country. With me to discuss this interesting topic is a regular guest, Architect Kola Ogunloye. It's great to have you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We're still in the mood of the election season, and today we'll be looking critically at ideologies of political parties. Now, I'd like you to take us back to the first, second, and what we call the botched Third Republic. It was the Third Republic, but it was botched due to annulment of the June 12 and 93 elections. Political parties then were known for ideologies and what they stood for, and this drove their socio-economic program. Can you give us an overview of those periods?
Yeah. I think I would like to begin this discussion by making some preliminary remarks about, what is ideology and why is it that ideology is important to political parties.
Thank you very much for that.
We can then take it from there, and then we go on to look at how the political party formations that we have since 1960 have been able to cope with this ideological debate, as they put it. Ideology is a body of ideas that guide the way political parties see the political domain. How do I mean? A political party that is structured around a particular ideological orientation is seen in that regard, and people are able to evaluate it better based on the fact of its ideological position. And in political discourse, a particular party is able to defend various positions based on its ideological orientation. For example, if you have a particular ideology and you are carrying out certain programs, people will be able to say that, okay, that is the manifesto. It derives from the party's ideology. And when the populace, the electorate, want to assess you or how best you have lived up to the credo of your ideology, they're in a position to do that without any problem at all. Of course, it is left to our imagination what happens when a party does not profess any ideology. That means the party lacks any basic set of principles by which that kind of party can be evaluated. Then there will be a resort to various forms of political escapism when it comes to programs and policies of the particular party. Let me start with the First Republic, when we had the parties like Action Group, NCNC, MPC, and of course, NEPO. We found out that the way these parties started, they started as nationalist movements agitating for the independence of Nigeria. And naturally, most of the parties at that time are a little bit to the left. Most of the parties are not even talking about anything to the right, because the people they are fighting are ideologically on the right. How do I mean? Left and right. The ideology to the left is like a socialist ideology. And that is the movement. It is this international socialist movement that has supported the battle against colonialism the more. So most of these parties started as some variant of socialist movements.
Do they have some trace of Marxism?
Yeah, well, you will agree with me that Marxism itself is the foundation for socialism. Karl Marx and Fred Engels, who are great ideologues, of their time, came up with Marxism. And as we go along, we find out that the expression of Marxism in governance is called socialism. So when people started this nationalist movement, they were talking about socialism, they were talking about ending colonialism, they were talking about ending oppression and all of that. And most of them are to the left of the political spectrum, ideological debate. Then there are people to the right who are basically conservatives. They want the status quo to remain. Of course, most of the people that colonized Africa are in that category. They even saw Africa as a place, as satellite states through which they can carry on their economic programs. These are people to the right, free enterprise people. They believe anything goes in business. I mean, that's the kind of ideology that we call capitalism today. Mm-hmm. And whereas the other side is socialism. And then you have a party like the NPC, the Northern People's Congress, that later become National People's Congress, that is unashamedly conservative and, a party that you can call in Nigeria at that time a party of the conservatives and a party that subscribed to the other pole of the ideological debate, which is some kind of feudalism and capitalism. Because really, if you talk about capitalism itself as free enterprise, even NPC was not there at that time. But they believe in the fact that the traditional and religious powers should be the ones that are in control of the polity. And that's the one headed by Sir Ahmadu Bello in the north. Then you have NEPO, which is more or less like a Marxist party, a communist party. The best ideological description that you can give to a party like Chief Obafemi Awolowo's action group was welfarism. Whereas a party like Aminu Kano's NEPO stood for a total, communism, as it were. It's a strong communist Marxist party, workers' party, the party of the Talakawas. And so you see them distinguished by their ideological orientation. Of course, in the Second Republic, you discover that the parties have also matured a bit, even though there was an heterogeneity of military rule. Yeah. We had NPN was basically a capitalist party. That is the National Party of Nigeria. The Unity Party of Nigeria continued its posture as a welfarist party, headed, controlled, and being given direction by Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Then you find out that there is GNPP, the Great Nigerian People's Party. It's tending towards a capitalist ideology, but it's not strictly a capitalist. It's what you can call those kind of parties are maybe variants of capitalism mixed with welfarism. Then you also have a party like the PRP, People's Redemption Party. Aminu Kano continued to be the party of the Talakawas, the Workers' Party, the party that is for the masses, the party that says a complete end to the status quo. He sees the rich as being oppressive in nature, and that the workers and the Talakawas and the masses must eventually take over the leadership of the country, which is the classical communist orientation. Then you have some other parties. There are 5 political parties. I've talked about GNPP, MPN, UPN, and then we have also spoken about PRP. And then we had a party like NAP, the Nigerian Advanced Party, formed by Dr. Tuji Braithwaite, which is also a very strong socialist movement at that time. It was even seen to be too idealistic, in its orientation. But it's also ideological. Of course, the Third Republic, you will agree with me that when the Third Republic started, the political engineering that was nurtured and designed and eventually ended by Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. The parties that we had at that time, there were so many party formations. And eventually he said, okay, he wants to create I don't want to take us into all the shenanigans and other schemes that happened at that time. But eventually he came up with 2 parties, the Social Democratic Party and the National Republican Convention. And these parties, he said, one is a little to the left and the other one is a little to the right, maintaining also the ideological divide, saying that the National Republican Party is going to be a little to the right, which is to say that is going to be capitalist in orientation. It will support free enterprise. It will, it will support free trade and all of the other characteristics.
Like the Republicans in US.
Yes, in the United States. And that the Social Democratic Party will live up to the image of his name to be a quasi-socialist party, a welfare party, a social democratic party, which will be a party for the other side. Those who believe that the state should take control of the country and there must be welfare and all of that.
Very rich analysis of the evolution of the political parties with ideologies clearly spelled out. When the Fourth Republic, we started in 1999, we have major party, the People's Democratic Party, that's been in power since 1999. We've seen parties evolve from AD to ACN, and now the major opposition party, APC, plus various other parties like Labour Party. Do we have clear ideologies driven by these parties manifest in their socio-economic programs?
Well, I would say no. And I would then back it up with the following points. When you look at the parties that we have in Nigeria today, we don't have ideologically driven parties. All of them are saying the same thing. You know, when you look at the programs that they are executing in their various states or even at the federal level, it does not succumb to a neat demarcation of ideology. It is just a question of what are the programs we want to run. One is doing transformation agenda. The other one is doing in the West, in the Southwest now, where APC is really. What are they doing? You know, what exactly are they doing? Ideologically, what kind of parties do we have? Do we have a progressive ideology, which is like a little to the left? A socialist orientation? Do we have it again? In those days, AD used to be an ideological party, saying that, okay, they want to take off from where UPN left, Unity Party of Nigeria. There is an Awolowo's party, and Awolowo stood for democratic socialism and all of that. But do we have that now? No. Even their economic policies that they are driving in the various states, does it succumb to, is it something we can say, okay, this is the ideology? No. So right now in this country today, we don't have parties that are based on ideology.
Thank you very much, Arc Kola Ogunloye. That was a very interesting discussion. I believe it's a lot for politicians and the electorates to learn. And that will be all for this edition of the Economy and Politics show. The focus was on political parties and ideology in Nigeria. Till next edition, I remain your anchor, Otobase Baseko. And to join our social media platforms for engagement and discussions, you can join us on Twitter and Facebook, and also our website, www.webtvng.com. Do have a great time. Thank you for watching.